What is up, my friends? Welcome to Flippin' Bats. A ton has been happening over the last couple of days, but most importantly, tomorrow, in about 24 hours from this exact moment that I am recording, I am heading to my wedding, heading to get married. We're going down to Mexico and going to have a super quaint, very small wedding with family and just a couple of our best friends, and I could not be more pumped up. So we're recording today, and then we're heading to the wedding, and I cannot wait. A lot has been happening around the baseball world. A lot has been happening in my world with packing and getting ready and all of that stuff. So I will be gone. We're doing like a week long in Mexico, and then we're going on a honeymoon. So guess what? Next Monday, we're not going to have an episode. So we're going to talk about it all today because a lot has happened around the Major League Baseball world, including a couple guys coming over from NPB to Major League Baseball. Tatsuya Imai has signed, and so has Kazuma Okamoto. We're going to talk about those two guys, where they landed, how I feel it's a good fit or not a good fit. We're going to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays because this team, I think, deserves a ton of credit. We're going to dive into what they've done, some of their big signings, and the position they've put themselves in the American League, which leads me to I'm going to run through the American League odds on FanDuel Sportsbook because it really is a head scratcher for me. So we're going to talk through the top the top 6 favorites in the American League. And a couple of them really confuse me with where they are. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to end this episode with a little segment that I like to call 3 things Ben wants because he's getting married and would like these to be done by the time he gets back from his honeymoon. You got that? Great. We're going to go through those 3 things that just need to get done. It's crazy. It's January 5th. And I put out my top 10 free agents like 3 months ago, and over half of them are still out there and available. That's wild. There's still time, yes, but these things got to get kicked into high gear. A couple of players have signed over the last couple of days. Tatsuya Imai is heading to the Houston Astros. Let's talk about him. This guy is an NPB stud. Fastball in the upper 90s, has touched 100 over a handful of times. Last year in Japan had a 1.92 ERA with 178 strikeouts in 163 innings pitched. And he's signing with the Houston Astros, a team that I wouldn't say was super connected to him from the beginning, and a team that doesn't typically do what they did to get this deal done. And what they did was they put in opt-outs into this deal. So it's a 3-year deal that can max out at $63 million. But for all the Astros fans listening out there, just imagine this as a 1-year deal. Because there's opt-outs after 2026 and there's an opt-out after 2027. So what that means is if he comes over and has a remotely good year as a starting pitcher, he's probably going to opt out and renegotiate a new deal and become a free agent. He's 27 years old. This gives him the possibility to become a free agent a couple of different times before the age of 30. He could do it after this coming year, and he could do it after the following year. So ends up signing a 3-year deal, and total, what it could be is 3 years, $63 million. Projections had him, multiple projections, as he came over this offseason, had him getting a deal around 8 years, $200 million. So he ended up taking less years, higher AAV with opt-outs, saying, I'm going to prove myself. And if he performs at all, he will be able to opt out and sign a bigger deal. So last year was nasty in Japan, upper 90s fastball that can touch 100, slider and like a splitty changeup that are both very good with very high whiff rates. So this guy is a stud. I think he's 27 years old currently. I think he potentially has top of the rotation type of stuff from everything I've seen from him in Japan, heard from him coming over from NPB. I hear he's a stud. He's had incredible years. This guy, from all accounts, I think is the real deal. I really do. And it's hard to imagine a better first impression in Houston than what Tatsuya Imai has made. So you saw him over the weekend. If you didn't see him, he was at a Houston Texans game. There's a photo of him. He's in the box with Jim Crane and Scott Boras, his agent. And there's a photo of him standing up, just completely ecstatic, throwing up the H in each hand. You can just tell his personality is awesome. His emotion is off the chart. I tweeted this when I saw the photo. Obviously, it's a little bit of hyperbole, but this man's going to win 10 Cy Youngs in Houston and become an absolute legend there, and he's already on his way to doing that. So I think he's a stud. I think this is a huge pickup for the Houston Astros. I think this team is going to absolutely shock a lot of people that aren't Houston Astros fans. Look, if we're talking about the Astros, this guy slots in as, I would say, a number 3 guy in the rotation to start the year. Right? Number 3, you have Hunter Brown, who's going to be your ace. Framber Valdez is gone. You have Hunter Brown, Christian Javier, Tatsuya Imai, and then probably Lance McCullers and Mike Burrows, the guy you traded for from the Pittsburgh Pirates that I think is absolutely nasty. So, and then you have your lineup that is hopefully finally is going to be healthy with Pena, Jordan, Jose Altuve, Correa back, Isaac Paredes, Christian Walker, Yainer Diaz. Look, I look at this Houston Astros team, and I think after getting Tatsuya Imai, I think their rotation is pretty much set, and I think their offense is in a really good place. You forget all of the injuries that the Houston Astros had last year. The Houston Astros, as we head into 2026, should be a favorite to win the American League. Last year, came down to the wire. It didn't work out. Why? Well, let's talk about what happened. It wasn't the end of the Astros' run as a good team. It was a team decimated by the most players on the IL in the history of baseball. Yordan Alvarez played 48 games last year. Jeremy Pena missed 35 games. Isaac Paredes was out for 2 months and came back as a shell of himself right at the end of the year. Josh Hader missed the final 2 months of the season. Lance McCullers injuries. Luis Garcia out for the entire season, basically. His elbow surgery. Expected to miss this coming year as well. Ronel Blanco underwent Tommy John surgery. Hayden Wisniewski ended up out and had to get Tommy John surgery. Jake Myers missed 2 months. The names go on and on and on of Houston Astros players in 2025 that ended up hitting the IL. But those beginning names, Yordan, Jeremy Pena, Isaac Paredes, Josh Hader, are all massive parts of the Houston Astros, and they all missed massive chunks in 2025. So entering 2026 with those guys healthy and adding Tatsuya Imai to the rotation and Melton to the rotation, I think or Mike Burrows to the rotation, these guys are going to be good in 2026, and I don't think there's any way around it. So I love the signing of Tatsuya Imai. I think the Houston Astros are getting an absolute stud, and I think I'm already all in on Tatsuya Imai. Just seeing the photo of him, the energy, the passion on his face, I'm already in on him. So it could be a 1-year deal if he opts out, but I think he's going to fall in love in Houston, and I think they have a chance to sign him back if it is only a 1-year deal. So Houston Astros land Tatsuya Imai, and that puts them right in the thick of the American League conversation come 2026. They should absolutely be a favorite. And we'll talk about in a little while where they are. But Astros in 2026 are going to be a force. Another signing we got over the weekend, Kazuma Okamoto has officially signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. 29-year-old corner infielder, plays mostly third base, plays first base as well, but I think the Toronto Blue Jays have their first baseman. So I think Okamoto is going to play third base. He's a plus defender at third base. He won multiple NPB equivalents of a Gold Glove. And aside from that, he's one of the best hitters in Japan since 2019. From both a power and a contact perspective, this is one of the best hitters in NPB since 2019. He signs a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. And look, there's always this tough transition from NPB to Major League Baseball. There can be, right? We've seen it in the past. It has largely been an issue with the transition in the first year or so. And then in more recent times, that really hasn't been the case. From Shohei on, really, we've seen plenty of guys come over and have immediate success in the big leagues. And this is a guy that has proved it on an international stage. Okamoto in 2023 in the World Baseball Classic hit .333 with almost a 1,300 OPS, with multiple homers off of big leaguers. He homered off Danny Palencia, and then he homered in the championship game off of Kyle Freeland, which ended up being the deciding run in that one-run ball game. Okamoto homered off of Kyle Freeland. This guy's a 6-time All-Star over there, 3-time Central League home run title champ in 2020, 2021, 2023. This guy hits for a bunch of power. He doesn't strike out a ton. He's a good contact guy, and I think this is a great pickup for the Toronto Blue Jays. Multiple reasons I love this deal. I also think Blue Jays are fans of Okamoto, fans from Japan. I have a lot of listeners and watchers from Japan of this show. I think there's going to be a lot of fans from Japan that are now Blue Jays fans because Okamoto signed there, and I can't wait for them to see how awesome Toronto is. Toronto's an amazing city. It's awesome, and I think there's going to be fans of the Blue Jays now, added fans of the Blue Jays because of this signing, and I think fans from Japan will go to Toronto to experience Toronto that may have never been there before to watch him play, and they will also fall in love with the city as I did. And my one suggestion to anyone that ends up going there is to get a Caesar. They're incredible. Go there, watch a Blue Jays game, and drink a bloody Caesar. They're incredible. Make sure you get that done. Toronto Blue Jays sign Kazuma Okamoto, third baseman, 29 years old, hits for pop, hits for contact, plays plus defense. Really, really good signing for the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's talk about the Blue Jays as a whole, the Blue Jays as a team. The Toronto Blue Jays, I think, are the best team in the American League. Entering 2026, I believe the Toronto Blue Jays are the best team in the American League. And shout out to the Blue Jays because this is, in my opinion, clearly the best team in the American League, and they have improved their team this offseason. They went step for step with the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series, often looking like the better team in that World Series and just didn't come out on top in the end. But for much of the series, looked like the better team. And then you've gone out and progressed as a team, in my opinion, and made your team better. Now they've added Dylan Cease as a stud starting pitcher. Tyler Rogers, a lockdown guy at the back of the bullpen. Okamoto, Cody Ponce, who was the KBO MVP this past year. And they're still in, reportedly, on Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, and Alex Bregman. They're still in talks with all of those guys. They're not out now because they got Okamoto. I can't give the Toronto Blue Jays enough credit because I feel like a lot of organizations don't realize the grass is greener until you get there and you see it yourself. And in 2025, the Blue Jays got there and they saw it, right? And now they look in the mirror and they saw what it did to the city, what it did to the fan base, what it did to the Toronto Blue Jays players, their roster that came together the way it did, and they realized they want to run it back. And they're going to pump some money into the team. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love to see it. And I feel like a lot of teams think of things completely backwards when it comes to building a team. Okay, we aren't going to put money into the team until they prove it. And some teams, even when they prove it, they don't add. But we want to be profitable. We're not going to do this. And then there's teams that get to the playoffs and see what it does, and then they realize, oh, it's this circle. The more we put into the team, the better things are, the better the team is, the better the vibe in Toronto. And then you just make, I would assume the bottom line is only improved in the organization. But it takes investing into the team to do that, and I think the Toronto Blue Jays have done a fantastic job. They did it beforehand. They did it before they got to the World Series. They went all in on Vladdy Jr. They went and got Anthony Santander in the offseason, which was a big pickup. It didn't work out fantastic yet. But they made the moves to put the team in a position, and now that they've gotten there and they see that, oh, this is what the World Series is like. This is what it does to an organization. They're immediately like, we need to get back. And they go out and add Dylan Cease, one of the best starting pitchers that was out there at the to pick up. They've added Okamoto. They're still in on Kyle Tucker and Bichette and Bregman, and we will see what they do. But I just think this is the best team in the American League, and they will have as good a chance as anyone to win the World Series in 2026. So shout out to the Blue Jays. Obviously went there for the World Series, fell in love with Toronto, fell in love with a lot of the players and the roster and the vibe that they have around there and the fans and the city and Caesars and all of that. It's no surprise. It's no shock. I did. So am I a little biased? Maybe. Did I become a bit of a Blue Jays fan? Yes. But the recipe ain't hard. This is how it's done. This is what you do. Invest in the team, and it all funnels back through, and you become a good team, and the vibe around the city and the tickets you sell, it's all – I just think the Blue Jays are doing a really good job right now, and I wanted to give them a lot of credit. Congrats on the Okamoto signing. I think he's going to be a stud over at third base for this team. They've already added Cease. They've already added Rogers, Okamoto, Ponce. And I think they're still going to land one more. I think they're going to land one more big bat, and this team is going to be an absolute problem once again in 2026. Which leads to something I was preparing what I wanted to say about the Blue Jays for this episode, and I went on FanDuel Sportsbook, which proud sponsor of Flippin' Bats. Anything you want. Bet baseball with us all season long in 2026 with FanDuel Sportsbook. They're fantastic. But I went on to look at the odds, and I was a little taken aback with the current American League odds to win the AL champion. Let's start with the team right at the top. The New York Yankees have the current best odds on FanDuel Sportsbook to win the American League. Totally disagree. I just saw a little while ago that the New York Yankees' top priority right now is Cody Bellinger. So their top priority of the offseason is to just sign a player to get back to where they were last year. And I get, obviously, Garrett Cole is going to come back, and I get that. I get it. But your top priority for the offense is just getting back what you had and running it back. And it wasn't good enough. I'm a little shocked to see that the New York Yankees are the best odds to win the American League. In fact, I would say they should not be. They shouldn't be there. But they're the New York Yankees, and as with any big market, there's a little bit of a tax on the Yankees, right? They're the biggest franchise in baseball. Oh yeah, the New York Yankees, they're going to be great. Best odds to win it. So, okay, they're the top. Second best odds to win the American League, the Seattle Mariners. Okay. Third best odds to win the American League, the Houston Astros. Okay, I can see that. Fourth best odds, the Boston Red Sox. I don't know. Where's the added offense coming from? What have they done this offseason to say that they should have the fourth best odds to win the American League? I think the blueprint is there for this Red Sox team to be very successful, but I don't think the front office has put them and the lineup in the position that it needs to, personally. Number 5, the Toronto Blue Jays. Why? How are the Toronto Blue Jays here at 5? How are they behind the Boston Red Sox? How are they behind? I honestly feel like the team with the best odds to win the American League should be the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't understand how they're behind any of these teams. How are they behind the Boston Red Sox? That one makes no sense to me. How are they behind the Astros? The Seattle Mariners, going to be a good team in 2026. They beat them in the ALCS. They were the better team. And the Blue Jays have improved more in the offseason than the Mariners have improved. And then the New York Yankees, the Toronto Blue Jays blew the doors off of the New York Yankees in the playoffs. How are they this far apart in terms of odds? In the specific odds, the New York Yankees are the top favorite at plus 360. The Toronto Blue Jays are plus 700. Almost double the odds. It's a little bit mind-blowing to me. And then behind them, you have the Baltimore Orioles, who are much improved and can totally understand that. Much improved. I think they still need to add another starter. I do expect them to. I think that's maybe built into this a little bit. But the Orioles have much improved, and I can see them being around this 5, 6, 7 slot. The Tigers come in behind them at plus 1,300 because they've done nothing this offseason. But the Yankees at the top and the Blue Jays at 5 just makes absolutely no sense to me. So go check it out on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you like the Blue Jays as much as I do to win the American League, plus 700 ain't bad odds, if I do say so myself. So go check that out as well. Okay, here's what we're going to talk about now. Because as I mentioned a little while ago, I came out at the beginning of the offseason with my top 10 free agents. Okay? On December 1st, I came out with my top 10 free agents. There were 10 of them, obviously. Of those 10, let's go through how many have signed. Muntaka Murakami, yes, signed. He was number 10. Tatsuya Imai, yes, signed. Framber Valdez, no. Ranger Suarez, no. Cody Bellinger, no. Then the top 5. Pete Alonso was number 5. He has signed. Bo Bichette has not signed. Kyle Schwarber has. Alex Bregman has not. And Kyle Tucker has not. That is 6 of my top 10 free agents this offseason have not signed. And here we are. Spring training starts in about a month and a few days. It's January 5th. Pitchers and catchers will report the day after Valentine's Day or right around there. So we're about a little under a month and a half away from spring training starting. And 6 of my top 10, these are big names, top 10 free agents have not yet signed. So what we're going to do is just a little segment called 3 Things Ben Wants Because He's Getting Married and Would Like These to Be Done by the Time He Gets Back from His Honeymoon. Easy, simple, crisp name, easy to remember. We love that. And we're going to start with number 3. Number 3, I would like to see the New York Mets add Cody Bellinger plus an elite starter. I have been vocal about the Mets this offseason and their complete teardown that they have done, and I have backed them saying I think they're going to be in a fine position. They have said the blueprint for this team didn't work. They're going to tear it down, and they're going to build with the pieces they got, and they chose Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, and they're going to head forward with those guys as their core. And I said, you have to believe in Steve Cohen. He's done nothing but at every turn proven that he has the Mets' best interest in his heart, and he is willing to do what it takes to win. And he's completely replenished the farm system to a top farm system in the game of baseball. He's unloaded some payroll. He's willing to go well above any luxury tax that there is. And as we currently sit, the team that had a high payroll last year, it's nowhere close to that. And Steve Cohen himself came out and said, I can't imagine a world where in 2026, we have a lesser payroll than we did in 2025. So here we are. They've gotten rid of a bunch of guys. They've gotten rid of Pete Alonso has gone and out the door. Brandon Nimmo is gone and out the door. So this team, all of a sudden, Jeff McNeil gone and out the door. All of a sudden needs a bunch of players. And I've been a believer in Steve Cohen. I think it starts with Cody Bellinger. Go get Cody Bellinger. I think Kyle Tucker's a player in this, but I don't necessarily see that happening. Cody Bellinger plus an elite starter, of which there are still a couple out there. Whether it be via a trade in Edward Cabrera with the Marlins or perhaps a Mackenzie Gore, which I think is becoming increasingly less likely, but we'll see. Whether it be Edward Cabrera, Mackenzie Gore, or a free agent in Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, one of those guys. Still some absolute top end of the rotation stud arms out there. I think the Mets need to add Bellinger and add one of those arms. And then, honestly, you still have some work to do. And I think they will have some work to do and will do it. But I think it starts there. So, number 3 for me, go add Cody Bellinger and an elite starter. Number 2, the Toronto Blue Jays to sign Kyle Tucker. This has been a rumor from day one of the offseason. In fact, in my free agent predictions of 2026, my top free agent was Kyle Tucker, and the team I had him going to was the Toronto Blue Jays. They are still in on talks with him. He is a perfect fit for that team and that lineup that is already a World Series contender and ready to win. And just imagine if they add Kyle Tucker, how insane that would be. I predicted it. It's been in talks for a long time. It's time it happens. Every single post Kyle Tucker makes, there's multiple Toronto Blue Jays in the comments saying, come on, man. Come on. Toronto's great. Reposting his photos. Vladdy Jr. has been in. I mean, from everybody on the roster at some point, seemingly, has joined in on this mission to get Kyle Tucker to Toronto. It feels like it would be a fun fit. I predicted it. The players want it. The vibe is great. Toronto's great. So Kyle Tucker to the Blue Jays needs to get done. It's time. That's number 2 for me. Number 1. The number one thing that Ben wants, because he's getting married and would like these to be done by the time he gets back from his honeymoon, is for the Detroit Tigers to do something. Anything. What are we doing? What is the plan? I am very much so against the plan of trading Tarek Skubal, the best pitcher in baseball. But if the organization is going to keep Tarek Skubal, the plan absolutely cannot be to just keep Tarek Skubal and, guess what? We didn't trade him. We now have the best pitcher in baseball. You had the best pitcher in baseball for the last few years, and the team hasn't been good enough, and it's desperately been needing offense. I said it at the beginning of last year, and even when they were fantastic last year, that this organization needs offense. And now here we are heading into this offseason, and the biggest talk of all is, are the Tigers going to trade Tarek Skubal? I don't care that that's the talk. Make up your mind. I am very anti-trading Tarek Skubal. Keep him in the rotation, but you have to do something. You can't spend the whole offseason trying to make up your mind of whether to trade him or whether to not. If you're going to trade him and get a boatload of stuff in return and make this roster a million times just replenish everything you can within the organization and sign some offense. If you're not going to trade him, sign some offense. What's happening with Alex Bregman? Alex Bregman was heading to Detroit last year before the final offer from the Boston Red Sox. I haven't heard as much as a whisper about Alex Bregman heading back to the Detroit Tigers. What about my brother? What about Justin Verlander? The perfect reunion in Detroit. What about any offense that's been out there? Why hasn't there been any rumors? This team is not good enough. The Detroit Tigers are a good team with the best pitcher in baseball. They are not a great team, and they need offense to go from good to great. Make your decision to keep Tarek Skubal, pay Tarek Skubal, and get some offense to help him out. As I said with the Toronto Blue Jays, this is how you replenish and revitalize an organization. The grass is greener when you finally get there. The Blue Jays saw it. They realized what being a playoff team and a deep run into the playoffs and a World Series does to a city and an organization and a roster as a whole. And then they've continued to pump money into the team. And the Detroit Tigers are just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. And now you're watching your organization just... if you don't do anything, it's going to suffer because you're just standing pat. So you have to do something. I think they need to add offense. You just have to do something. Again, I am anti-trading Tarek Skubal. But it would be a move if you are 100% not going to sign Tarek Skubal when he becomes a free agent, or extend him, which is going to be tough because Scott Boras doesn't love extensions, but Tarek Skubal loves Detroit and he wants to be there. If you are saying we are not going to do that, I think it's a direct slap in the face to Tarek Skubal and the entire Detroit Tigers organization and the fan base, because Tarek Skubal wants to be there and wants to win as a Detroit Tiger. But if you are saying we are not going to do it, okay, trade him. If you are saying we are going to keep him for one more year and then we'll see what happens, sign some offense. if you are planning to sign him and are planning to throw a bunch of money at him and extend him and do whatever it takes to get it done, fantastic. Sign some offense. Just do something. What are we doing? It's time to do something. So, my wedding, honeymoon, by the time that's done, the Tigers better be on the board doing something. I'm going to be even more heated. So the three things Ben wants, but because he's getting married and would like these to be done by the time he gets back from his honeymoon, is 1, Cody Bellinger to the Mets and an elite starter. That is number 3. Number 2, Kyle Tucker to sign with the Blue Jays. And 1 for the Detroit Tigers to do something. Do anything. They have the 7th best odds to win the American League on FanDuel Sportsbook. They were the number 1 team in baseball for a long time last year, and they just didn't have the offense to sustain it. And now you've headed into the offseason and haven't done anything to address that. And it's time to. Fun show. A lot has gone down. A lot of signings over the weekend. A couple of MPB studs, Tatsuya Imai and Kazuma Okamoto, have signed with the Astros and the Blue Jays, respectively. Those guys are studs. Those teams are going to be a bunch of studs. And I can't wait. So here's what's there's a lot coming up. January, as I'm leaving tomorrow for my wedding, honeymoon after that. Then spring training gets underway shortly after all of that in February. And then 2026 is a World Baseball Classic year. So in March, just a few months from now, the World Baseball Classic will be underway, and it's becoming one of the greatest spectacles in sports. This international baseball scene has taken off like crazy, and 2023 was literally a storybook World Baseball Classic, and now we get to run it back with the best players in the world, showcasing their talents for their team and their country, and it all culminating in one baseball tournament, and that happens in March of this year in the World Baseball Classic, and I cannot wait. I love you all. I'm so appreciative of every single one of you that watches or listens. Please make sure you watch wherever you just check out our YouTube channel. Flippin' Bats Pod is our YouTube channel. Please leave a comment there, like the video. That all really does help. Maybe for anybody listening or watching right now, that's a perfect wedding present. Just go subscribe to the Flippin' Bats YouTube channel and leave a comment about how much this show might mean to you or where you typically listen or whatever it may be. It just all really does help, and I'm very appreciative of every single one of you that's watching or listening for the first time or the 500th time. It does not matter to me. I'm super appreciative. This show means a ton to me. 2025 was the year of Flippin' Bats. Now 2026 is going to be the year of Flippin' Bats. We're going to have a big year. It's a World Baseball Classic year. I'm getting married in a few days. I cannot wait. I'm so appreciative of every single one of you that have been along for this journey with this show and baseball as a whole. Baseball has just skyrocketed since this show took off in terms of since this show started, with attendance and viewership and everything. It has been incredible, and it's been incredible to be on that ride with you all. So I appreciate every one of you. I love you all. Thank you all for watching and listening. Again, wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, check it out there. Follow us there. YouTube channel, Flippin' Bats Pod. You can watch every single episode, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. All of it is free, and it really, really does help. And check us out on social media, at Flippin' Bats Pod everywhere. And check out my social media, at Flippin' Bats is not my social media, at Ben Verlander. Check it out on Instagram. I'll be posting a bunch of stuff from my wedding. I can't wait. I'm off to pack. I'm off to Mexico. I love you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Until next time, which will not be next Monday, because I will be gone, but the following Monday. 2 Mondays from this one, not the next one, the one after. We'll be back talking all about the wedding and all of the moves that have hopefully happened in the meantime. But until then, my friends, love you guys, and remember, find your bat and flip it.